Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're heading to the southernmost crossroads of Taros, to Grande Friesen. And if you were to just, look at this city on a map, you might think it's just another trade hub.
So it's another port town.
Yeah, but the sources we've got tell a much tougher story. This city has been standing since before the Shadow Wars. It is a hardened place.
It really is. It's defined by, I think, two things. This ancient, almost divine resilience on one hand.
And the smell of gunpowder on the other.
Exactly. It's a fascinating mix. Our mission for this deep dive is to give you a complete shortcut to understanding Grande Friesen. We have to start with its celestial origins, which, and this is key, literally shaped the genetics of its people.
Right.
And then we can jump into the high-stakes espionage and the political games that are happening right now.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Our way into the city is, it's through a very personal lens. We're following 3 travelers from the Death Hunter Corps.
Right.
First up, you've got Marcus Allister. He's the current descendant of the Gatekeeper lineage.
Which comes with a lot of baggage.
A whole lot. His family connection here is incredibly complicated. His father was a hero, but another relative, Ewan, is known as a betrayer. That shadow just follows Marcus everywhere.
And with him are 2 really crucial allies. You have Simon J. Romero. He's the weaponsmith, the tinkerer.
Brains of the operation, in a way.
And the enthusiast. I mean, the sources describe him as almost reverent toward the powerful figures in this city. He sees Grande Friesen as a kind of shrine to his craft.
And then there's the wild card, Vance of House Kane.
The new guy.
And he's a vampire. The sources call him the Death Walker. He's basically everything the old guard in Grande Friesen is taught to distrust.
And this isn't some random trip. The sources make it very clear that this is a calculated move, and Simon is the one who planned it.
So what's the immediate goal?
The goal is to use Marcus's family connection. His uncle is a man named Jack Bruce, who's very powerful, to restore some prestige to the Gatekeeper title.
Which has been tarnished.
Heavily tarnished. So it's really a political rehab project for the Gatekeeper name, and, by extension, the entire Death Hunter Corps, all under the guise of a simple family visit.
And to really get why this maneuvering is so important and why the Friesenites are, so hard to win over, we have to go way back.
Way, way back.
This city's history isn't just terrestrial, it's divine.
Precisely. We're talking about the Scions of Sion. The Friesenites trace their entire lineage back to these beings who came to the southern tip of Taros.
Which was seen as a holy site.
A holy site, exactly.
Yeah.
And they came there to repopulate and diversify species after some kind of massive catastrophe.
What's so unique about this creation story is that it's not some, chaotic Big Bang. It's an incredibly ordered 4-stage process.
The blueprint.
The blueprint for resilience.
Yeah.
Dictated by the 4 Eternal. So what does that cycle actually look like?
Well, it's defined by the elements: fire, water, nature, and wind. The first phase is the eternal flame.
Which sounds destructive.
It was, but it was a purification. It brained away all the toxic stuff from the old world, rejuvenating the soil, preparing it for new life. It's a rough start, but it proves that the very foundation of this city is built on surviving hardship.
A land that burns itself clean to prepare for life. I mean, that says a lot about a city that's now a hard-bitten trade hub.
It really does. And after the fire, the eternal water comes. It douses all that destruction. You get this massive, long monsoon that washes the land, sets up the water tables, and creates the first really livable habitat.
So you go from purification to nurturing.
Exactly. And once the land is stable, the eternal of water calls upon the eternal nature. This is the growth phase. This Sion transforms the land into these lush gardens and deep, rich forests.
Bounty.
Perfection and bounty. And then, to close the loop, you have the eternal wind. It breathes life into everything, sustains the growth, but, and this is critical, it also records the secrets of the whole cycle.
So the knowledge is preserved. They're basically sitting on an ancient operating manual for survival.
That's the core of it. And it wasn't just environmental, it was genetic. The sources say the Eternals share their energy, their genes, with the indigenous people.
Making them hardier, healthier, and much more agile.
Exactly. They were literally engineered to survive.
And you can see that in the bloodlines. The sources name Zex and Seraphine as the warrior and protector lineages.
And muscle.
The brute force, yeah. And then you have Forrester and Sarago, who were the mentors, the teachers. They had keener minds, more strategic.
And this created 2 distinct classes you still see today. The tough, quick-to-fight mercenaries and the shrewd, cunning merchants.
But that raises a big question. If their very DNA is coded for this divine order and resilience, how do you square that with the gunpowder and explosions that define the city today?
I think it's the perfect synergy. The divine order explains their resilience, their hardiness, the modern military stuff. That's just the tool they use to protect that incredibly valuable, divinely given resilience. They're not just mercenaries. They're genetically hardwired to win where other people would fail.
That's a great bridge. So let's jump from ancient gods to, well, to the modern military-industrial complex of this world.
To Master Jack Bruce's compound.
Right. The man they need to win over.
So they arrive at the Dune Prowlers HQ. It's north of the city, up in the hills.
Yep.
And the sources describe it like something right out of a steampunk novel.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Massive barracks, huge equipment hangars, and this giant 3-story headquarters built around a courtyard. It's just the physical embodiment of organized brute force.
And Jack Bruce is the supreme commander of it all. He's the head of the Dune Prowlers and the big power in their elite fighting group, the Tryon Titans.
He's Marcus's uncle, described as gruff, raspy, but there's a deep sort of fatherly loyalty there, despite the whole gatekeeper mess.
But the tension is there from the second they arrive, right? Because of Vance.
It is palpable. Jack Bruce is old guard. He fought in the chaotic wars, and he has this deep, deep disdain for anyone who, in his mind, discards their mortality.
He confronts Vance, the Deathwalker, almost immediately.
It's a philosophical clash right there in the courtyard. Jack sees vampirism as a weakness, a refusal to accept the natural cycle of life and death.
Which goes against everything in that Friesenite divine blueprint we just talked about.
And Jack's entire fighting philosophy is the ultimate expression of this mortality-first mindset. He has zero time for magic. None. It's all technique and balance.
And a terrifying admiration for things that go boom.
An unhealthy admiration, you could say. They call him the Demolition Man. His favorite toys are chain guns, bazookas, grenade launchers. It's about overwhelming, devastating power.
And yet his personal combat style is all about finesse.
It is. He uses these blunt force weapons clubs, hammers, axes, often dual-wielding them, but his mastery comes from pankration.
Which isn't just brawling.
Not at all. It's a derivative of Hercules' style, an ancient martial art mixing techniques from India and Greece. It's power-oriented, sure, but it all hinges on perfect technique and balance, using the body as the ultimate weapon with no magical crutches.
It's about leverage, momentum, pressure points, not just raw strength.
And that's why Simon the Weaponsmith just idolizes him. Simon's own custom weapon, the Crimson Thorn, is a direct homage to Jack's legendary Bayonetta Bloodthorn.
Simon's hero worship is almost childlike, but it's completely sincere. When Jack challenges him, Simon just proves his discipline right away.
He flawlessly recites the 5 pillars of weaponsmithing.
Knife and dagger, kills a swagger, sword and shield, never yields, staff and spear, makes it clear, mace and axe, shows the facts, wand and relic, shares its ailments.
And if you break that down, it's a moral philosophy.
It really is. It starts with stealth, moves to honorable defense, then pure, undeniable force with the mace and axe.
And it ends with that warning about magic.
Yeah.
Shares its ailments. Simon is basically signaling to Jack, I get it. I respect physical craft, and I understand the danger of relying on magic.
And that's the password, basically. That philosophical alignment gets them in the door.
It does, and that rapport is immediately put to the test because the conversation shifts instantly. They go from weapon tech to high-stakes political reality.
Jack's not just some warlord. He was a council member. He has informants everywhere. He knows what's coming.
The sources call it the Gathering Storm. And Jack just drops the bombshell. He says mobility units from the Unknown Kingdom have already been in touch with the mayor of Grande Friezen.
So the city is already being probed?
Actively probed for weakness. And the real threat is an emissary who's set to arrive in 3 months or less from the Western continent.
And this emissary is not coming alone?
No. He's bringing Lord Kunjiro Arborkai, the head of House Kunjiro. This is heavy diplomatic and military pressure.
So why Grande Friezen? This is supposed to be neutral ground, merchant city. Why risk bringing the head of House Kunjiro into the open like this?
And the sources say he's a kind man with a terrible curse, which just adds another layer of complexity.
A tyrant you can fight. But a cursed leader? That suggests some kind of internal instability, a vulnerability they might be trying to export or solve.
Marcus sees the huge strategic risk here. But Jack, he cuts right to the city's identity. He just says, since it's a merchant city, coin is involved.
That's the leverage.
That's the leverage. They're not coming for a holy war. They're coming to buy or force control over the immense trade flowing through the southern crossroads.
So the mission is clear, and the clock is ticking. 3 months. They have to prepare countermeasures to stop Grande Friezen from becoming a puppet state of the Kunjiro Empire.
We've gone from the four Eternals purifying the land to the internal politics of a demolition man's compound, and now it all converges on this massive external threat.
But the narrative gives them a moment to breathe, right? A little bit of tension release.
It does. Jack, despite his whole philosophical issue with Vance, he grants his request. He promises him the red stuff he needs.
While calling him a soulless bag of bones.
Of course. And Marcus gets to celebrate this reunion, knowing he's at least partially restored his family's honor and secured a major ally. It's a small win before the real work begins.
So here we are at the edge of the storm. Grande Freyson is caught between this ancient, cunning legacy of the Eternals and the modern brute force doctrine of Jack Bruce. The Kunjiro emissary is on the way.
And that brings us back to that little detail the sources gave us about Jack's old sparring matches with Ewan, Marcus's betrayer relative.
Right. Jack's strength would often win, but Ewan usually had the upper hand because of his agility, his strategic mind.
And that dynamic forces us to ask the final, crucial question. As this empire, with its money and its complex diplomacy, gets closer.
In this kind of showdown, is the sheer, overwhelming strength of a demolition man enough to protect Grande Freyson?
Or will the agile, strategic, maybe even unconventional thinking of Ewan's legacy be what's ultimately required to save the city? That's the real conflict ahead, strength versus strategy.
And that's where we'll have to pick it up next time.